The farmer was beaten by Levi and Simeon badly enough that his family had to rent out his farm, or there would have been no harvest. The farmer was a new immigrant to the area. He did not have an extended family nearby. His young children were not yet able to do enough work. His wife was due to give birth soon and could not do the heavy work either. The two brothers were ruining a family. When the harvest was safely in storage, the farmer sighed over being in debt to the tenant farmer. He thought the worst was over. The broken ribs and hand were almost healed. All the bruises were gone, and of course the hand never was nimble enough to repair a harness trace again, or other delicate work. The farmer never saw the faces of his attackers. He just remembered the pain of their blows. It was put down as a mugging in the eyes of the local law enforcement. The next spring, the young farmer was joyous. The weather looked great, the family had grown by a healthy baby boy, and the mother was his wife, recovered quickly, regaining her youthful energy as well. The farmer and his wife, escorted by their babe in a sling, and the little ones tagging along to throw a rock or two out of the field, started to plow. They could plant when the field was plowed to work the stubble under the surface. The debt was there, but they were young and hopeful. Levi and Simeon had decided to take this opportunity to finish the second part of their plan. They waited until dark. Everyone was asleep. They went to the toolbox. They got out the big hook for hanging animals at slaughter time to drain the animal's blood. They also got one of the big butchering knives. The last item was the length of leader rope to muzzle the oxen. All was quiet at the farmer's hut. They crept to the side of the corral, using a treat that the farmer could not afford to give the oxen of grain. They lured the oxen to the fencing of the corral. When they got both oxen muzzled, they tied them to keep them from trying to escape. The next step was going to hurt. They forced the hooks through the Achilles tendon gaps to tie their legs close to the fencing. The oxen could not kick because of the way that they were tied. The cowards, Levi and Simeon, started their dirty work. They hamstrung the oxen by sawing through the hamstrings. They cut the tendons slowly to prolong the pain of the oxen. Then they moved on to the second oxen, doing the same injustice to that animal as well. Going in reverse order, they jerked the hooks loose. Then they unmuzzled the oxen, letting them go free in the corral. The oxen would not die, but they would not work another day of their lives. The farmers had purchased the oxen as calves. They had been newly castrated to make them oxen. The farmer had raised them as working members of the family. Of a possible 12 to 15 years of work life, they had just matured at 3 years old to their full strength. They were now fully trained, and they were docile and sweet animals. Now the farmer would have to carry feed to them until he could figure out what would be best. Butchers and sale markets were not always buying. They also generally buy two oxen at once, just because the demand was not high enough. If the farmer tried to butcher one on his own, he would have had to hire help for the job. He did not have the salted barrels or tools to slaughter anything larger than a big ram. Then there was the planting of the farmland that had not been started. It was a horrible situation. The one had mercy on the farmer, waking Jacob to visit the outhouse. In doing this, Jacob was confronted with the truth of his son's perverse natures. Jacob saw the boys 7 and 8 years old, covered in blood, laughing. He witnessed the hooks, big knife, and ropes. All were blood-covered. He witnessed them washing most of the blood off the tools and replacing them. He witnessed them strip the blood-soaked clothing off, rinsing them and putting fresh, dry clothes on. Jacob was horrified and afraid. He did not confront his sons. He hoped that this was a terrible nightmare. He had no idea what the victim was. Until that point, Jacob had taken a boys will be boys attitude. He thought the whispers of Rachel were exaggerated about the boys. In the morning, with much tearing of his hair, the farmer cried out for justice. Why were these bad things happening to his family? In his crying out, he came to Jacob to ask if Jacob had seen anything. He hoped someone would help him find the evildoers. Jacob lied and said no, but asked for full details of the mutilation. On hearing the details, Jacob's heart sank. He knew that his sons had done a great injustice. He did not want to be exposed as the father of two mutilators. After the farmer left, Jacob arranged for a butcher to pay a good price for both of the oxen. He paid a premium for the butcher to go immediately to end the suffering quickly of both the oxen and the farmer. This put a hardship on Jacob. He gave his savings, which were almost nothing, because just paying off the Rachel years, he had no flocks of his own. He had to promise some future payments of livestock to pay the balance. The only people who were happy about the outcome were the butcher, Levi, Simeon, and Leah. The farmer mourned the animals, but was relieved that he found a way to keep his family sustained. He bought new animals to train. The farmer tried to prepare his heart to hand gentle another team of oxen to the plow and his hand. The boys were never disciplined. If they had been shown that this was not the way to behave, it may have made a difference. They gloated to their mother, Leah, about their dirty work. She waited to see if she would have to intervene on their behalf. She applauded their ingenuity. So began their infamy. Jacob paid damages under the table. Boys grew into vicious killers of man and beast. Only at Jacob's time to give his sons their inheritance did Levi and Simeon reap what they had sown.